Well, hey McFly subscribers. So I have another review for you today. Now, many of you have asked for me to do a review of a rod that's a good beginner rod. I've done a lot of reviews on, I guess you would call medium priced rods. For some people it's expensive rods, for others they're cheap. I mean, you know, in the fly fishing world you can get rods anywhere from $100 up to $1,000. And then there's obviously some manufacturers that go much less. But I've looked around and I tried to find a good starting kit, and that's what I've got here. It is a full kit that is reasonably priced, that anyone can kind of jump into fly fishing and start if you've never fly fished before, and also that works really well. I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. We're talking a beginner set, so this is not going to be a very, very high-end rod, or reel, or line, or set in general. This whole set is not high-end. I'm just going to throw that out there. Not high-end. But it's also not it's not a high-end price either. This whole thing is about $83. And I've got my little checklist here for everything about the rod. So just the rod itself, they do sell just the rod, and it's like $46.98, so $47. The 5-weight kit is $82.98. And the 8-weight kit is $86.98. So, I mean, the price there is pretty good. And you basically are getting something that you can just take out and start fishing right away. Okay, so this is a good gift for someone that might want to get into fly fishing, or if you are just getting into it, it's a good gift for yourself. So, obviously, like I said, this is not going to be a perfect rod, but it is a good way to start, and then you can upgrade little parts of it later on when you want to. Let's start with the specs. This one is the 9-foot 5-weight, and this is the runcl. You can get this on Amazon. And anyway, it comes with a weight forward line. So this it's orange, but it's a weight forward line, 100 foot of it. Comes with 20-pound backing and 65 yards of it for the 5-weight. And then it comes with a 9-foot 3X tapered leader. Only one of them, so you know, keep that in mind. You will have to get some leaders over time. It doesn't come with any tippet, so that's something you'll have to get. And then the 8-foot rod is a 9-foot 8-weight. All of them are 4-piece, so they come in a pretty small package here. And the 9-foot 8-weight, it's a little weird. I'm not sure why they did this. They put a weight forward 8 line, obviously, on it, so an 8-weight line. It's also 100 foot. But they also did 20-pound backing, and they say on the thing it's only 16 yards. So that seems crazy to me. Both come with a 5.6 reel. Both of them are the same reel. So you'd think that they would have made a larger reel to be able to put more backing on. And even this 5-weight, it's a little, I think, over stuffed, okay? The line itself, you might want to actually strip some of this off, take some of this backing off. You're never going to, with a 5-weight line, probably not going to need 65 yards of it. And that way you get, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but being overpacked can get annoying, okay? But these small little things are something that I don't really have a problem with, personally. I mean, I do, but they're fixable. I mean, for $82.98, kind of can't complain that much. But I am confused about that 8-weight. I don't know if that's true. They might be... I just read that basically this info on Amazon. I haven't been talking with the company at all about it. I don't know. Just kind of this info. Obviously there'll be a link. You can go do your research on it. There'll be a link in the description section for this. And then obviously if you just get the rod, it's the same specs as this rod right here, because it's a 5-weight. I don't think they sell just their 8-weight rod, at least that I saw. Okay, they're all graphite, so it's a graphite rod, which obviously is going to make it a little more fast action. Okay, they use Fuji guides, so that's good. Fuji guides are decent guides, so it's Fuji guides. It's a wood reel seat, so you can see here, and it's cherry. Okay, it's a wood reel seat. It is locking. It's a double locking, by the way, so that's good. Teflon drag system on the reel. We'll touch about that in a little bit, about the quality of it. It's a cast reel, I'm pretty sure. This is definitely, I mean, it's metal, so this is cast aluminum is my guess. It is rather heavy, so but it is. I'm sure it's a cast reel. Granted, the price that I don't expect a fully machined reel. And they say that the rod is 3.46 ounces for the 5-weight. They don't really discuss the weight on the 8-weight that I saw, okay, of the rod. But it is a 3.46 ounce rod. Now, that's relatively light. However, the cast weight, we'll talk about that in a little bit. The cast weight isn't great. Okay, it doesn't feel like a 3.46 ounce rod. But again, we're not fishing with a $900 Sage here. Okay, this is a lower end beginner's rod setup. You know, this is not an expensive setup, you know, so you kind of, it's give and take, right? All right, so let's move into the action. The action is, they call it medium fast. I would say it's even pushing the fast. Forget the medium, but it's right in between there. It's definitely faster than medium. It's not quite like a, you know, super fast rod, for sure. There is some give to it, so this is not a rod that you're expecting to go bomb far cast. But again, we're talking a beginner setup. You're not going to be bombing far cast with the beginner setup. It's just not going to happen. And so I think this action, it's a medium fast, they call it. I say maybe a little more towards the fast, is probably really good for a beginning setup because it gives you a little bit of that feel on the back cast. You do kind of feel it a little. I would like a little more in the medium genre for a beginner's rod. I find this a little faster than I would want for beginners, but again, everything's give and take. So if you do go more towards fast, you've got a little more forgiveness with your cast. So you're gonna feel, you're not gonna feel the cast as well as like a medium action. So it'd be harder to kind of improve your cast over time. It is more forgiving. So if you don't have that timing down perfect, which you're not gonna have when you first start fishing, if you don't have that down perfect, it's gonna be a little more forgiving, if that makes sense. Okay. So we already talked about price. If you just want the rod, it's $46.98. It's a pretty good price, I think, for the rod. There are some, I think Picey Fun makes a rod. You know, I've reviewed some of their stuff before. For about that price, maybe a little more. I think theirs might be a little better. But this is, you know, I think theirs is in the $60 range. So really, I mean, for $45, $47, whatever this is, it's decent, and I think, you know, justified for that price. I really do. Where you really are getting the benefit, I think, is the kit. So if you get the 5-weight kit, it's $82.98, which is really not much more. We're talking like $35 more, and you get a reel and line. Now, modern day line, I mean, you can buy some line for 20 bucks out there. Is it good? Yeah, probably not. But if you want like Rio or some of these higher end lines, you're going to be talking, you know, 50 bucks just for the line. I think they're cheapest on Rio, which I fish a lot. I don't know much about the other brands that much, at least recently. But I do know that Rio's cheapest line is like $39 or something around that price. So, you know, it can get expensive. But it is a decent line, I think, for the kit, if that makes sense. So $82.98 I think is very justified. In fact, I think it's a very good price, and that's why I picked this kit. The 8-weight goes up a little bit, a little more material on the rod to build it. So the 8-weight is $86.98, not much more. We're talking, what is that, 3 to 7, that's $4 more. Let's move into what its use is. Obviously, this is a beginning rod kit. It's for beginners. This is not something that a seasoned fisherman is probably going to get, unless it's like a backup rod or whatnot. And definitely if you get this and you want to upgrade later, this would be a good backup, you know, rod for you in case you break your other rod while out fishing. But really what this is for is a beginner set. That's really what this is for. There's no other reason to get this other than you don't have a rod, you want to get into fly fishing, and you want something inexpensive but still works and will get you out on the water fishing. That's what this is for. And with the intention of upgrading certain parts later. So the looks, you can see here what the looks are. This is a, I would say it's like a reddish brown. If you get this in the sunlight, This kind of looks a little reddish. It has like a reddish tint to it, okay? Right now it's just definitely brown. So the wraps are like light brown with like a little silver accent here. And those go all the way up to the second guide, and then that's with the double, you know, seated guide. And then the single seated guides, they just do the brown. So it's kind of like a light brown, maybe even like, I would say like rose color a little bit. It's almost like pinkish, but it's brownish, brownish pinkish. And they don't do the accent up here, okay? Just down by the lower part of the rod. The insert here, the rod seat, is cherry wood. It's actually very nice, actually. I'm very happy with it. It's a little dirty, guys. I was out fishing a lake, which you'll see a lot of clips of it. That's where I was testing this, and it was kind of muddy where I was, but I figured that's a good place to start testing the rod, right? I mean, where do most people start learning how to fly fish? Usually at like their local neighborhood lake, fishing for bluegill or small bass. That's really what I was doing, okay? So this, you know, it's a cherry wood reel insert for the reel seat, and it's nice, actually. I'm very pleasantly surprised with that insert. The reel is very simple. I would say the reel is probably the least nice part of this whole set, personally. But it works, and it looks okay. Nothing special. It's not like, you know, the nicest looking reel, but it works, okay? I mean, it's not bad. It's some kind of gold, looks like it's actually a fully sealed drag. I don't know how well that is, but that's the reel. It's not a bad reel. The line is orange. You know, that's fine. That's great. Not the prettiest line in the world, but it's really dirty right now. But, you know, when you're starting off, you're not looking for the prettiest. You're looking for functional, and it's very functional. And the nice thing about a bright colored line like this is you can see where it's at. Instead of some of these others that are kind of like a olive color or a gray, excuse me, a gray, or any of these, you know, lighter color lines. You know, I generally like to fish something a little brighter, especially if I'm nymphing or dry fly fishing, unless the fish are getting really spooked. I think the color is good for what it is. I really like it because you can see it in the water. And then the handle is cork with these little foam, kind of like Eva foam inserts. And the cork's not bad. I mean, it's definitely got pitting going on. But for the price range, I'm actually surprised it's not bad. I mean, I've only fished it a handful of times, not a lot, but you know, if it was really cheap cork, it would really start pitting. So they did okay with the cork. I mean, this is not, you know, a $900 Sage rod, so you're not going to get $900 Sage cork or Scott or G. Loomis or any of these high-end brands. You're just not, and there is, you know, some fill-ins here and whatnot, but I mean, it's not bad. So I'm actually quite surprised at that. We'll move into the power and fish fight. That includes fish fighting ability and casting, right? So I haven't caught anything massive on this, but I did catch, you know, about a 13, 14-inch bass, roughly, on this. Maybe 13, maybe 12. But I mean, it was decent, and you know, it fought it great. It was fine. It was actually stuck in weeds too, so I was able to kind of pull on the weeds and feel, you know, its pulling ability, and it does not do too bad. I mean, it's okay. It's got decent fish fighting ability, so definitely if you hook into something a little bigger, I think this will do okay. On the 5-weight, don't go redfish fishing with it. Don't go after carp with it. I don't think that it's going to handle it. You're going to feel underpowered. But again, it's a 5-weight. That's not what they're for. This is for trout, and most trout caught with this, you'll feel fine. You won't feel underpowered unless it's like a 30-inch brown. But that's you know, if you hook into a 30-inch brown when you're first starting fishing, then you are the luckiest man in the world, and you probably will end up bringing the fish in because you're just that lucky, okay? So really, its fish fighting ability for what it is, I think, is superb. I think it does well. The one negative I will say is just the action of this rod lends to not feeling the fish as much. It's not going to be, you know, something super sensitive. So every time that fish wiggles its tail, you kind of don't feel it, which allows you to bring the fish in quicker, but it's not quite as fun. However, when you're first starting fishing, any fish you catch is going to be a blast, whether you feel every wiggle of that tail. So, beginner setup, again, I think this works because it gives you a little more power to fight the fish. Again, everything is give and take. So whether you go, you know, much more stiff and be able to bring a fish in quickly and fight big fish, you're not going to feel those smaller fish as well, obviously. It's just not, you know, at that point it's made to fight bigger fish. So I think it's a good balance. You're going to catch small trout. You're probably just going to reel them right in. You're not going to feel them too much. But again, it gives you the ability to catch bigger trout at that point because it's a little stiffer, okay? The casting ability. This casts pretty good. In fact, I was really happy with the way it casts. Now, it can cast pretty much anything out there. Small poppers like this does fine. Okay, so if you're going to go out fishing for bluegill or small bass with small poppers like this, you'll be fine. Obviously, I'm just kind of grabbing something that's here. Little dry flies, great. Nymph rigs, fine. It'll do that fine. I'm quite positive in the way that this casts for the normal 5-weight rod. I was having trouble with the big popper. So this is that large popper that I was fishing down at my local pond, and it is big, wind resistant, and I mean there's not many rods out there. My 6-weight Sage method can get this out, but it's still, you feel it against the wind. And now it does that fine because it's a very stiff 6-weight. But my other 5-weight rods do have trouble with getting this out. So this actually casts this pretty well. There's some power behind this. But this is not a finesse rod. So like I said, you can cast these small dry flies out there, but you're not going to be landing delicately on the water. It's going to want to slap that surface a little harder. So if you're going just after dry fly fishing only, which probably when you first start fishing, fly fishing, you're not going to be doing that. But, you know, you could, I guess. And you can do it. However, you really got to try to make easier casts because this thing has the tendency to want to splash because it does have a little power with the cast. Again, it's not going to power out something like that. But it, you know, I mean, some 5-weight rods have trouble with smaller poppers like this. And it did this really well. In fact, even some weighted streamers. So this, I just tied up on video, and I wetted it, so it's a little wet. It's a little streamlined right now. I wetted it to give it a nice shape for taking a picture of it. I'm going to let it dry out, but it's weighted, and I actually was fishing this. I was fishing it in olive color, actually, and that's what I caught the bass on, something like this. But this, it casts great. I mean, there was really no issue. You know, there was a little bit on the back cast, you feel that kind of snap on you because, you know, it's a 5-weight rod. You're going to feel a little snap on it because there is a heavy head on this. But it wasn't too bad, and it did it just fine. It got out in the distance, especially with a little bit of a double haul. When I was double hauling with it, I could really wing it out there. But it did pretty good on something like this. And, I mean, of course, it's a small streamer, but it does have a weighted head. And sometimes some of these 5-weight rods will have trouble casting that. Okay, so it did, you know, it did okay. It's a good all-round rod, really. I mean, you can do dry fly. It's not going to be quite as delicate of a cast, but then again, that gives you the ability to catch something, cast something larger, like a big streamer or medium-sized popper. Okay. Of course, you don't want something really heavy. If you've got big, heavy dumbbells, I think it might give you trouble. Let's move into the ease of use. This kind of plays into the casting power, but ease of use. This thing has a very heavy swing weight. So when I'm swinging, when I'm casting this thing, you know, it'll wear you out over time. So the ease of use on that aspect isn't wonderful. I will say it's not great because it is a heavy cast weight. However, for an $82 full or $83 full setup, I'm not really that concerned about that. I mean, really, over time, you're going to want to upgrade the rod. You want to upgrade over time, everything's going to end up getting replaced when you really get into fishing. But for a starting rod, I don't think you're going to be going out for, you know, long, you know, 12-hour trips backcountry, fishing where you're out for 12 hours and your arm starts getting fatigued. I mean, once your arm starts getting fatigued, you kind of start making mistakes. You're not going to want to fish anymore. And this is going to happen a little sooner with this rod than something much lighter. Okay, so the swing weight, even though they say it's 3.46 ounces, which is pretty darn light, it does still have a heavy swing weight. And so that does make you fatigued. Now, it's not as heavy as some other rods I've felt. I mean, there's other rods out there that have been super heavy swing weights, and you feel like you're casting a dumbbell on the front or something like that. I mean, it's, but it's not bad, but it's still heavy. It's not going to be, obviously, it's not a $900, fly rod. This is a inexpensive rod, so give and take, I'd rather something with a little heavier swing weight being at this price range, but still be able to do what it's going to do. And I think it's a good balance. But keep that in mind, there is a heavy swing weight, so after a couple hours, depending on how fit you are and how young you are, really, after about 4 or 5 hours of fishing, you're probably going to want to take a break, rest your arm. Now, ease of use, again, it's easy. I think easy to learn on. I think you're going to start being able to get cast with this. Again, you might not perfect your cast as quick as with a really medium action or light action rod, slow action rod, because it is a little more stiff, but it is more forgiving, like I had already touched on. There is some forgivingness with it. Build quality. I think the build quality is great on this. This is wonderful. For the price, of course, if I bought this and I paid $300 for this rod setup, I would not be happy with the build quality, okay? But at the price range it is, I am extremely happy with the build quality. They use Fuji guides, guys. That's high quality guides. I mean, they're not the best that Fuji makes, but Fuji is a good company and they're high quality guides. They're not cheap. They're decent on the stripping guides here. It's got a decent insert here, so nice and smooth, so it allows for I think better casts, little further casts, little smoother casts. The rod itself is wonderful. I think the line, it's not really build, but the line quality is very good for this setup. I think it matches the rod great, at least for this 5-weight. I don't know about their 8-weight, I haven't tried it, but the 5-weight for sure, it matches the rod perfectly and you can get good casts. Actually, in reality, you can even get decent casts within about 25 feet or so. It starts loading, and then it can kind of hold it out to, in my casting ability, is 60, 70 feet, and I've gotten a couple 80-foot casts with this. Okay, so that means that's decent quality line. Okay, it's going to hold its own for the price range that it is. The wood insert on this is wonderful. I really like the look of it and the quality of this. It's got a double locking reel seat, and I haven't had trouble with that getting loose personally yet. Of course, I haven't put it really through the ringer, but I haven't had any trouble, so I don't suspect you will either. The only thing is the build quality of the reel itself. The reel, I would say, is lower quality than the rest of the thing, but they had to figure out where to save some money, especially at the price range it is, and that's where they save their money, is the reel. I mean, it's decent. It's going to work for you. It spins. You can hear there's a little. It wants to shake a little bit. It wants to kind of wobble so it's not perfectly balanced. Oh, that was the line kind of getting caught. But the reel quality is okay. And it's definitely, I don't think it's going to break on you. So, I would definitely say that you probably would want to replace the reel first. I mean, everything else seems pretty good. You'll probably get a decent reel. However, reels generally, for most fishing that I do, and probably what you're going to do, are just line holders. Unless you catch something that's really big that's going to take you to backing, you're really not going to use the drag on the reel. It just holds line. And so, with that being said, maybe it's just fine for you. Now, the leader is decent. It's not a bad leader at all. I had no trouble with it breaking. It was nicely tapered. It's a good leader. Also, the parts. This is a nice case. I mean, it's heavy. It's a heavy case for sure. has a lot of weight to it. It's a nice little case, has this little side thing that you can put something in if you want. I don't know if you'd use it, but you know, it definitely will keep your rod nice. It's got these dividers here for putting each individual part of the rod in. You know, I mean, it keeps those separated. So it's a very nice case. In fact, the case itself, I would say, is probably worth a good 40 bucks. I mean, maybe a little less than that, but there's some companies that you can get cases for 25 bucks and whatnot, but still, it's well worth. I mean, the whole setup itself is I think, the build quality for what it is good. And this is a good, nice case. I mean, not the nicest looking case, but it works. And it's, I think, very good quality for what it is. The only thing that I would definitely say you might not want to use is this little kit that comes with it. So the nippers aren't bad. I tried them. I mean, they cut line, you know, they're okay, and, you know, nice and soft feel, so they're okay. I would say the nippers are pretty good. I don't really know what this is for. I mean, scissors are not something that I ever use while I'm out on the water. I would rather see maybe forceps, but you can get forceps for like 5 bucks, so get yourself some forceps. Toss this or use it for fly tying kit if you ever want to tie your own flies. This is a neat little box. I kind of actually like the box because it's individual, so I would say this is really good for like dry flies. You can stick them in and then you only open one, so if you do drop this, you only lose one fly. The flies that come with it, use them for like small little ponds and stuff. Don't go major fishing with it. The hooks aren't the best quality. You know, the flies themselves really aren't the best tied. I mean, but what do you expect? I mean, you get 12 flies in this kit, so I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 12 flies. They're numbered on the front here. You know, it's not bad. Cool little case, cheap, you know, but you're not buying this kit for the flies that come with it. Probably want to get your own flies when you go to a specific place for the specific fish. But, you know, I mean, these aren't really stuff that I would use. They're a little too big for my area. Might be perfect for where you are. And unless you really don't have to worry too much. I mean, if you break a hook or bend a hook and lose a fish, no big deal if you're just starting out. But, you know, at least it comes with some. They're not, like I said, not the best, but they might catch. But overall, I think the build quality is really good for the price. If I was spending $300 or $400 on this setup, I would not think the build quality is great. I'd want to see a little better. But at the price range it is, it's more than adequate, and in fact, above adequate. You know, even the wraps, look at, it's hard to see on camera, I'm sure, but the wraps are really not bad. I mean, they're decently wrapped. You know, there's no space in between. It's pretty good. All right, so let's wrap this up. My overall rating on this. So I'm gonna, since this is multiple parts, I'm gonna individually rate this. Now I'm gonna rate it first of, forget the price, okay? So this is like if I bought this individually at a fly shop and let's say, price doesn't matter, you know, I'm not even talking about the price. I would say the reel being a cheap reel, it's 2 or 3 out of 10. It's not the best reel in the world. But, you know, again, for the price it's much better, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I would say 2 or 3, maybe, out of 10 for the reel. For the rod, I would say it's a 5 out of 10, not including the price, okay? And for the line, I would say that's a 6 out of 10. I actually do like this line. I think it's a really good line. I was pleasantly surprised with the line. So total setup, I would say there's a 5 out of 10 if you don't include the price. Now, if you do include the price, the fact that it's only $80-something, $83, the price really plays into this. The fact that it is, you know, for a beginner setup, at the price range it is, I mean, I think that really, in my opinion, jumps up the value of this and makes this a lot better quality, not better quality necessarily, the quality is going to be the same, but worth it, okay? And so in my opinion, being what the cost of it is, the reel being included in this kit, I would say it's a 4 out of 10 for the reel. The reel, in my opinion, it's with the cost. The rating is 4 out of 10. Still pretty low. Maybe 5 out of 10. But it's still low because it's not the best reel, okay? But again, for the price of it, it goes up. For the rod, it's a 7 out of 10, guys. 7 or 8. I mean, it's a really good rod for the price. In fact, at that price range, I think it's one of the better rods out there. The line is 8 out of 10 for sure. Great line. Maybe even 9 for the price. And overall is 7 or 8 out of 10, I think. So that's my take on this, given the price. I definitely can recommend this for you guys to buy. Again, I haven't fished this too long. I haven't put myself on any big fish with this. I haven't really done much in trying to break it because I don't want to break it. I do definitely recommend getting this. I think you'll be really happy with it, at least for quite a few months. And once you really hone your fishing skills in, your casting skills, your fly fishing skills, you might want to start upgrading things. I would say start with the reel. And if you're okay with the reel the way it is and you want to upgrade the rod, then next would be the rod. You know, go spend $150 and get yourself a better rod. But again, you know, the cost range of it, right? This probably will last you for a long time. You'll be really happy with it. In fact, the nice thing about this, if you guys know, I'm a fan of TFO. I think TFO makes great rods. Their rods, though, only come with a sock. They don't come with even a tube. So if you do end up getting a 9-foot 5-weight rod, or a 4-weight or a 6-weight or whatever, and it's 9 foot, it'll fit just fine in this case. And then you can basically just switch out the rod, keep the case. Case is great, and you know, keep upgrading as you go. I think it's a really good way to start, and I think this rod definitely serves the purpose of a beginning rod setup, and you'd be really happy with it. So if you guys want to get this, I do have a link to the product on Amazon, so definitely click that if you don't mind. Go down the description section. You actually might have to click that show more to expand the section to be able to see it, but I've got a link down in there for this rod. Read down through it, click that link, because when you do, it actually does help me. Anything sold on Amazon, through any links of mine, bring a little money into the channel. It helps support me. So if you did enjoy this review and you want to buy it because of this review, help support me by clicking that link. Alright guys, so I finished doing the review, and I realized that I didn't know much info about the company's warranty. So I contacted them, and it turns out that they do have a year warranty. I don't know what that really means. I kind of questioned them about it, and they said, well, if the rod is got a problem, that they'll replace it. And so that probably means that if there's a manufacturer defect, I don't know how they go about figuring out if it's a defect or if you slammed it in the car door, or how good they are about fixing it. But they do say that there's a year warranty. But even without any warranty, it's still a good deal, guys. I mean, it really is, even without a warranty. I wasn't even expecting a warranty with this kind of setup. I mean, generally, you're going to be replacing the parts by the time it breaks, hopefully. And if you slam it in a car door, well, it's kind of your fault anyway. So, you know, about $80-something, I wouldn't really expect a full replacement on something that, you know, you did or I did or whatever, you know. Only if it's manufacturer defect, and it seems like they're going to fix it. At least they said so. But while I was talking with them about it, I kind of explained what I was doing. I needed some info because I'm doing a review. And they said, well, we want to give you guys, my subscribers, so you guys, a discount. So there's, in the description section, there's a link to the product. Again, you can only get it on Amazon, I believe. And but there is a link with a discount code. So check that discount code out. Go find that discount code in the description section. Make sure you type that in, and you will get a discount on the rod. So instead of $83, it'll drop it, I think it's 10%, so it'll drop it $8.30, which is still really nice. So about 75 bucks for the kit, which is a great deal. So if you guys want to check it out, definitely go and get that link. Anyway, I just want to give you guys that quick update and let you know about the discount and that they do have a warranty. Well, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.